Hello Nilesh. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. So can we start with your brief introduction, please?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Go on. Yeah.
Hi. My total years of experience is currently 7.9 years. Right now, I'm working with IBM from last around 2 years. Before that, I was in Impact Systems Private Limited as a Java developer. All those years, I have worked as a Java developer, as well as I have exposure to some of the JavaScript frameworks, as I know Angular well. I have also worked on EXTJS. Talking about the Java stack, I have worked on different versions of Java, starting from 1.5, 1.7, 8. Currently, I'm working on 11. And talking about the frameworks of Java, I have worked on different frameworks like Spring. In Spring, I have worked on Spring MVC, Spring Boot, Spring Security, Spring Cloud. I have knowledge on. And talking about the UI technologies, I have worked on Angular version 7, 8, and 11 also I have worked on. And EXTJS, actually I have worked on in my first company on version 4.0.7. So that was quite an old version. And in my current project, I'm working as an individual contributor, where I need to take up the Jira stories for enhancements and develop those with the unit test cases using JUnit and Mockito. In my earlier organization, I was a team lead. I was having around means four and later 5 members in my team, and there I was working as a product lead actually, for designing and developing the web applications, and currently working on the Spring Boot microservices mainly.
Okay. So in microservices, how much experience you have?
More than 6 years actually. In From my first organization itself, I started working on microservices.
Okay. Okay. And I think you already undergone two interviews, right? Technical rounds.
One actually.
One. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So how was that interview?
Good actually, means it happened 2 days ago. It was around 45 minutes of discussion,
Okay.
starting from core Java, some means the streams, Java 8 functionalities. After that, the Spring Boot and a bit of the Spring Cloud with security, and few programs actually, two small programs were there. The interviewer asked actually to write me the logic for.
Right. Right. Okay. So have you worked on any AWS or any cloud platforms?
Not actually, means on cloud side, I don't have much experience.
Okay, 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 right. So can you tell me? I mean, this is not a technical discussion basically, but
Yes.
yeah, I mean, just want to understand depth of your understanding. So
Yeah.
and few things
Yeah. Sure.
just to get to know better. So can you tell me what are the challenges in microservices architecture?
Okay. So challenges in microservices. First is the management actually. By management, I mean when we scale up or scale down, that time we need to manage all the configurations where we are changing, where we actually need to change. So that's the first thing, the configuration while scaling up or down. The other thing is the integration testing and user acceptance testing. When we do that, that need to be done from all the team. All the services should be ready. As in microservices, one service depends on another in most of the cases to take one task. So that integration testing we need to do integration testing, and after that the user acceptance testing also we need to do. Though, and with that, in the unit testing phase, we also need to test the single single sources or single microservices. So that kind of testing we need to do with the different services. And deployment is also one thing that needs to be managed means with the CI/CD pipelines we can do it well with the Dockers images and Jenkins, but yes, we need to do the configurations. So by development perspective it's quite good from functionality perspective, but yes, from the managing and deploying it's quite difficult. But once it's deployed and done, it's good to monitor and all than the monoliths.
Mm-hmm.
But for the first time when we do that, the deployment and configurations, it's quite hard for the first time.
Right, right. Okay. Which design patterns you know on the microservices front?
So what we use now is the gateway, API gateway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's the one we have used right now. Earlier I have also used Saga, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So basically those two are the and from that I have found that API gateway is actually one that's helpful while scaling up and down.
Okay. How?
uh, as we have the discovery services, means if we are let's say we are scaling up for a particular microservice to from 5 instances we are going to 8 instances, and after that when if we don't have the adapter or API gateway patterns there, we need to manually do the configurations for calling one microservice instance. But with the gateways what we can do is we can from the means client or any calling application or any other microservice, or let's say any UI application that needs to access the particular service can only need to call the gateway and tell it that I need this application to be called or this endpoint to be called, and gateway will then go to the discovery service and get the again it will also do the load balancing for us, and it will give us the required endpoint.
Right. So have you also used a circuit breaker in your application?
Yes, I have Hystrix I have used, and
Okay.
currently we are just moving to Resilience 4J. So actually we are upgrading some web services, and in that we came to know that Hystrix support is not going to be there from next versions. So there is Resilience 4J with the GitHub provider actually, and
Mm-hmm.
that also does the same thing.
Right. Okay. Okay. And for logging, how you manage the logging in your application? Like for example, say there is an issue with your code or the service that you have written, right? So
Yes.
how do you find the issues with that? Like if you have any bug or any defect raised or any production incident, right?
Yeah. So for that in past also in now also I have mainly worked with log4js, and with log4js what we do is we do the debug. Means there are different levels of logging. So from info to debug to error. So if and in those if we are running in production, obviously we don't run in debug, mostly we run in info and errors. So we firstly go through the log files which we have to monitor if there are any errors we got in your logs, and with the logs then we go to the root cause of that particular service, what caused it.
Okay, but with microservices, is log4j enough, or do you did you have anything more than that? Because you might have multiple microservices, right?
Yeah,
And
means
there might be
if
communication.
some microservice or some instance of a service is closed or what, for that we use actually actuators to monitor the services. If any instance is stopped somehow abruptly, if any instance is shut down and that's causing the issue, so we can check it with the actuators First of all, when any issue occurs with the services, we go to the actuators to see the status and health, and any beans, if any bean is not deployed somehow because of any odd issue. So with actuators, we check that first.
Okay, right. So, so you use Spring Boot, right? So in Spring Security you mentioned. So how Spring
Yes.
Security works? Can you just explain?
Yeah. Okay. So let's say if we can just picturize it, there is an security filter class we create, and that security filter goes to the authentication manager first, and that authentication manager then goes to the authentication builder, and the authentication builder has the user detail service and the authorization service. So what happens is basically whenever any request comes at our service, the authentication filter checks. So should I go a bit into the code, means in the classes, the custom classes we have?
No, no. I mean, just overall, you can tell me.
Okay. So with what the application the security filter does is, there are two things in the security filters. So there are two configure methods actually which we implement in the custom authentication filter. One configure is for the authentication, and one is for the authorization. So with authentication, we check if that user, let's say our user store is our JDBC store where we are storing our username and password. So with that authentication, configure authentication method, we check if that user is authenticated with our system. And for that, Spring uses the encoders, and for now we are using the bcrypt encoders for that. And in the second configure method, we that's for the authorization. What we do is we configure the endpoints for the particular uh, user roles. So in our application, there are the user different roles which can access certain services. So what we do is we simply give the URL endpoints or the service endpoints, and we just mention there, if it has this role, has admin, then it can access the service, or else it won't access the service. And whenever the token goes to the UI front end, they just store it in their local storage. And whenever any request is going to the service, they again send the same token, and we check the validity of the token. If it's valid, then fine. If not, we will again process the authentication, and we will pass the ticket again to the calling service.
Mm-hmm.
So this will be the
Okay,
basic process.
right. So in your current project, what is your role?
I'm actually developer, working as a developer, an individual
Mm-hmm.
contributor. So it's basically an individual contributor role, where I need to go from development to testing, and some kind of design is also involved. So if there are any new requirements or enhancements are there, I need to take the
Mm-hmm.
stand to tell the onshore support actually. So onshore, there is a team at onshore. So I need to
Okay.
tell them the approaches with what we can do, and how we can
Mm-hmm.
do, and the timelines and all I need to provide to the onshore team. And
Okay.
with those approaches, they come back to me with any approach they like, and after that we go ahead with that, the development.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Right. So yeah, I mean, I think. Have you worked on any NoSQL database?
Yes, I have experience on MongoDB.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Right. And so if you get to work on cloud, that should be fine with you, right? I
Sorry.
mean, because cloud, if you are to work on any cloud platform, that should be fine with you, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm actually looking for, to get some
Okay.
exposure on cloud. I'm actually also doing some classes, but yes, I don't have any practical project experience on that. I have learned from Udemy and all, but yes, I don't have any project knowledge as of now.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just asking. I mean, it will depend on the client, but mostly most of the projects in microservices have some flavor of cloud deployments and
Yeah. If it's there,
some
it
understanding with it.
yeah. If it's
Mhm.
there, I'll be happy only to work on if it's there.
Right, right. Okay. Yeah, I think that's what I wanted to discuss. I have covered the point. So you have any question?
Actually, I have researched a lot, and in the first interview also, I asked the interviewer. He told me that there are multiple domains actually. So I means as per the requirements, I can be shifted from one domain to another, and that's fine. I just wanted,
Yeah.
yeah, I just wanted to know means what's the duration for that? Is it for the short durations, short duration projects, or the projects are some long term?
Yeah, it really depends. Like, I mean, it depends on the current requirement, right?
Yes, yes, right.
But mostly Mindtree has clients who have long-term association, but in that also the projects, I mean, duration varies, right?
Yes,
So
yes,
as you
right.
can understand, that might be based on many factors. So
Yes, right.
yeah, but yeah, this recruitment is for Java microservices. So practice. So the technology-wise, it would be Java microservices only. That is the
Yes,
point. Yeah.
yes, right, right. Yeah.
Okay, then nice to talk with you, Kishore.
Yeah, yeah. Nice, nice to
Uh,
talk to you
yeah.
too, Nilesh. Yeah,
Have a nice day. Bye bye.
yeah, yeah. You too. Thanks. Bye.